Good afternoon, everybody.
Hi.
For those that don't know me, my name is Jessica Sage, and I'm with ORD2 Indivisible. Thank you so much for coming today. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you, Mary, Fran, and all the volunteers that have helped today. Can we please give them a big hand? Thank you. Thank you so much. There is so much doom and gloom happening politically. But before we get going on that, I want to remind you of what our resistance collectively, nationally, has accomplished so far. It's so easy for us to forget the great stuff, but I'm going to be reminding you today because we need to carry on with this. This is what we've accomplished so far as a country in our resistance. 3 Muslim bans have been overturned in courts. The first GOP healthcare failed. Let's us remember that. Flynn got fired. Sessions recused himself. I'm very curious to see what he's saying right now. Bannon was removed from the National Security Council. Russia's election involvement is under investigation. And above all, and this is something we all can go to the bank with, no major legislation has been passed in the House or in the Senate. That is tremendous. That is tremendous. And it is all because of our resistance efforts. So, back to the doom and gloom. We're going to talk about the Russian debacle in a moment. But while this is happening, we cannot lose sight of other important congressional legislation, including last week's passage of the Financial Choice Act, which is an attempt to gut some of the Dodd-Frank Reform Act, which protects consumers. But most importantly, the Republican effort to replace the Affordable Care Act. Select GOP senators are working behind closed doors, while Trump and Mitch McConnell are secretly twisting arms, cutting deals, and using everything they can get to make sure that they pass Trump Care. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with how bad Trump Care is, here are the 10 worst things about this bill. It takes away health care from 23 million Americans. It hikes deductibles an average of $1,500. It ends federal protections for people with pre-existing conditions. It allows insurance companies to charge older Americans significantly more for their health care. It cuts $834 billion from Medicaid, a program helping more than 70 million Americans, half of those children. It puts lifetime and annual benefit caps back on the table for even those with employer coverage. It makes women pay more for health insurance than men. It defunds Planned Parenthood. It harms children with special needs by cutting special education funds for schools. And it does all of this. It does all of this in order to pay for $600 billion in tax breaks for the wealthy and for corporations. I seriously do not know how they sleep at night.
Really? Seriously?
They're heartless, soulless bastards.
That is correct. The Senate still is a few votes short, but they may get the votes. And I guarantee you, if they pass this bill, they're going to do so in the middle of the night without anyone else reading it besides this small group of GOP men, and without a GOP score, GBO score, and no public input at all. Right before we started today, this beautiful woman, Cheryl, could you just come up here on the steps? She said she didn't want to speak, but she's got this beautiful sign. It says, "Thank you, Dr. Lou." Dr. Lou is one of our speakers today. She said, "Dr. Lou saved my life. And if I didn't have Medicare, I would be dead right now." So thank you so much for your courage, Cheryl, for saying that. Dr. Lou, thank you for saving Cheryl's life. Thank you, Cheryl. So I hope you've all had the pleasure of seeing Dr. Jun Yang Liu before. He has been an indivisible friend and supporter from our very, very beginnings. He spoke in Walden's office with us when we met him in February. Dr. Liu trained in cardiology at the Cleveland Clinic and joined Southern Oregon Cardiology in 2015. As a physician, Dr. Liu knows how detrimental Trump care is. Please welcome Dr. Liu.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Cheryl. I didn't know you were going to be here today, and it just moves me so much to be here with you. So, it's good to be with you all today. And as your doctor, I wish I had better news. Near center stage of the political drama playing out today in Washington, the health and healthcare of millions of Americans hang in the balance. In March, the House Republicans put forth the American Health Care Act, and we marched against it from this very spot. A short time later, we witnessed its rightful demise. But less than 2 months later, the bill was resurrected with only minor changes. The bottom line of the AHCA, as you have heard outlined by Jessica, did not change. Millions of Americans would still lose health care insurance. The Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, assessed that the amended ACHA is almost as dismal as the first version, 23 million Americans at risk of losing coverage. And the resulting savings will be used for tax cuts that would disproportionately benefit the wealthy, the wealthy and corporations, while lower income, elderly, older Americans, and the sick would receive far less assistance. And what angers me even more, from the standpoint of a clinician and a scientist, is the provision to repeal Prevention and Public Health Fund. The funding is the nation's first mandatory funding stream dedicated to improving public health. It's created to address precisely what many have said are keys to a long-term solution to our nation's soaring cost of healthcare. Prevention of communicable diseases, combating obesity and heart disease before heart attacks strike, reducing the impact of substance abuse and mental illness on America's communities. The AHCA passed the House without a single Democratic support, and the 52 Republican senators are now meeting behind closed doors and in the dead of night to come up with a more palatable version of this very atrocious legislation. You have not heard much about the details of their plan because they don't want you to know. They don't want you to find out what they're doing to all of America while trying to appease the hard right. And as a practicing cardiologist, I don't have the luxury of picking sides. When I see a patient, it does not matter who they are. Male, female, older, younger, white, minority. I wish I could say that the epidemic of obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease will be better addressed by the AHCA and by cutting coverage and scrubbing preventive services. But I simply see no way of this happening. The correct path forward for a healthier America is in the direction of universal health care coverage and ramped up ramped up efforts at preventing chronic and communicable diseases, promoting healthy lifestyles, and increasing the efficiency of healthcare delivery by emphasizing quality rather than quantity. Yet this administration seems hell-bent on dismantling the healthcare infrastructure of America in the name of individual liberty and freedom to choose. But just remember this, friends. A sicker America will never be a greater America. And I won't stop fighting for my patients and for you until this game of thrones in the House of Cards is finally over. I hope you don't stop fighting either. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Liu. We're lucky to have you on this planet. Indivisibles, this is a matter of life and death. The Senate is planning to vote the last week of June. We can stop them. But the only way we're going to kill Trump non-care is if senators feel the heat from indivisibles around the country. Please call Senators Wyden and Senators Merkley. You know that they're with us, but they need to hear from us. They still need to hear from us. They will continue to need to hear from us. And this is very important. There are actually 10 states that are in danger because of their senators. And what I'm asking you to do today is call your friends and family from around the country and ask them to call their senators. In particular, if you have relatives and friends in these key states: Alaska, Arkansas, Arizona, Colorado, Louisiana, Maine, Nevada, Iowa, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. We must be doing this together. This is the way we will succeed. Please make those calls if you know people around the country that you can call. Okay, on to the next disaster. Trying to keep light. Former FBI Director James Comey testified that Trump directed him to let go of the Flynn investigation. When Comey didn't, Trump fired him. And you may have even heard about rumblings of Trump now wanting to fire Mueller, right? This man is unbelievable. What Trump did, legally speaking, is an obstruction of justice, a federal crime, and an impeachable offense. I do not know why Washington is so quiet about this. However, we must demand that Congress support both an independent commission and impeachable hearings. Now, I want to say a word about impeachment. I don't think anybody here wants a Pence presidency. And I don't think anybody here wants a Paul Ryan presidency either, for that matter. However, and I actually do think that both would be more dangerous because they would get more accomplished for no other reason than that. So we don't want that. But I do want to say something very, very strongly. I envision that the impeachment process, which is going to take a long time, years possibly, would bring down the current Republican Party.
Yes.
And we need to see this through. We cannot let Trump off the hook. We just cannot. He's gotten away with too much so far, and he's going to be getting away with too much. He's got to start being accountable. Our next speaker, Jeff Golden, will be speaking more about this issue. A lot of you know Jeff. He's sort of a national treasure around here. He hosted JPR's The Jefferson Exchange for a decade. Currently, he is the host and producer of Immense Possibilities. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Golden.
Dr. Lou, thank you for such a clear, well-informed call. That was great. And Jessica, thank you for keeping us going, keeping us outraged, keeping us amused and outraged at the same time. It's quite a trip. So how many of you did see some of the Comey hearing last week? Yeah. Sort of the best reality TV show ever in some ways. And I thought it was especially clever of them to launch it by getting the guy from that old reality series that said you're fired at the end of every show to say you're fired one more time. I thought that was pretty slick. So I've been asked to talk a little about where this leaves us now in terms of impeachment. This should really be a simple matter. We have, as the formal leader of this country, and one of the few people on the planet who could destroy the planet almost instantly, a cruel, petty, irrational, dishonest, twisted 5-year-old. And we naturally would like to remove him. And the way we do that in this system is impeachment. And it turns out that at the Constitutional Convention, the founders talked a lot. They debated what they wanted to do about this a lot. Ben Franklin was the most interested in impeachment. He said we needed to remove an official who had rendered himself obnoxious. And check that box. He said if we didn't have it, the citizens' only recourse was assassination, which would leave the political official not only deprived of his life, but of the opportunity of vindicating his character. So that kicked off a long debate among the founders, and they split among those who said, let's list exactly what impeachable offenses are, and those who said, let's not. Let's have more general language, because we're not going to be able to know the context or the seriousness, the details that you're going to need to know to kick an elected official out of office. And that side won, the side that said, let's keep it general. Let's let people at the time, Congress at the time, decide. So it's a very short clause in our Constitution. The whole clause is, the President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Okay, so we've got two specifics, treason and bribery. And there are people right now trying to strengthen the case on each of those against the Trump administration. Treason in connection with the whole Russia deal, and bribery in connection with the way the Trump business empire can benefit from foreign powers if he in turn does nice things for foreign powers. So we haven't heard the last of that, and there's a whole bunch of information, I believe, that'll come to light. We'll see where that goes. But the bulk of it, those are the only two named impeachable offenses. And I differ a little from what Jessica said, because what the founders' intent was, at least, is that an impeachable offense, except for those two, are what Congress decides an impeachable offense is. So we fought over this in presidencies, at least from Richard Nixon, almost every single one. And a lot of us who were active in the 80s could not figure out how it is that Reagan's prosecution of an illegal war in Central America, the whole Iran-Contra thing, was not an impeachable offense, but Bill Clinton's inability to keep his fly zipped was. But there was nothing unconstitutional about any of that. It's what Congress decided at the time. So with that, this then becomes less a legal matter than a political matter. And it means that if we really want Trump impeached, we have to do what we're already doing and need to do more of through Indivisible and elsewhere, which is to do everything we can to ask and force Congress to do the right thing. It's another thing to lobby for if we want him impeached. Now, do we really want him impeached? Do we want President Trump impeached? I think, yeah, there's a big part of me that does too. Pretty straight. Don't. Let's not make this complicated. He should not be our leader. Let's remove him. I get all that, but I really think Jessica put her finger on the dilemma that we have here. You know, I think that an impeachment would give us a president who is at least as bad for us and for the country and the world as Trump, and more effective at implementing what he wants to do, and someone who would less ignite resistance. We wouldn't get any more of those outrageous, unbelievable tweets at 3 o'clock in the morning from the White House. So just on that level, I think this comes into the be careful what you wish for category. But does that mean we shouldn't push for impeachment? And this is where it gets interesting. I don't think it means that at all. Because what is most important right now for this resistance? I would suggest what's most important is that we stay wide awake and energized, that we do everything we can to wake others, anyone we have influence of the brutal reality that we have an administration, you know, broadly unlike anything we've seen our whole lifetimes. These are not the first corrupt people to run the country. I think they may be the first to pretty straight out say, yes, we collaborated with a foreign adversary in order to get elected. Yes, we are personally profiting by using the power of government and turning public resources to private resources. No conflict of interest rules do not apply to us. And no, we won't show you tax returns that could illuminate and straighten a lot of this out. And yes, we're going to keep doing this. And yes, we're going to stuff our cabinet with billionaires who all have personal interest in the outcome of their policy. And what are you going to do about it? Well, there aren't a lot of answers to that question. But one specific one that the Constitution gives us is impeachment. And, you know, I would suggest to you that maybe Trump's, do we still use that as a verb? That at least, that makes this a difficult call. But as an organizational matter, as a way to stay organized and outraged, as a focus, I think it's really important. A campaign for impeachment also holds a possibility of pushing people like Greg Walden to defending what most people will come to see sooner or later as indefensible. And that's not a small thing. I think more and more people are likely to say, enough of this. It may be the Republican Party, you know, reflects my beliefs more, but if they really think that everything that's going on right now, that this brazen and corrupt theft of our government is okay, I got to do something else. I can't stay with this. So that it has power there as well. But more than anything, we need a resource that keeps us steady and rock solid over time, that we will not accept or tolerate what this administration is doing. And it's tough to maintain the resistance. Even though the outrages continue, it is tough nationally to keep this going, and we need every resource we can to do that. And this is not about prevailing in the end. Certainly we hope to, we're going to fight as hard as we can, but we can't tell the future. This really is about realizing that if we ever come to accept this toxic calamity that's befallen our nation, if we decide to throw in the towel and just go about our business, that changes who we are. And it takes us into the realm that the Brit Edmund Burke was talking about 300 years ago when he said, the only necessity for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. He said good men, but that was 300 years ago. For good people to do nothing. We know exactly what he means. Our children and grandchildren who are watching us know exactly what he means. So when it comes to this particular evil, let us make sure that we never stop doing what we can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff, and thanks again, Dr. Liu. We're so, I feel so abundant with the wealth of support and knowledge and experience that we have in our midst. Please call and ask your friends and family around the country to call their senators, our senators, today on these vital issues. Calls nationwide are way down, and we cannot give up the fight. I talk to people about us sort of going through our very first wave. You know, when the election hit, there was this outrage, and then when inauguration happened, there was this swell of activism. And where we have now about 125, 150 people here today, 4 or 5 months ago, there were 700 people. We cannot give up the fight. We cannot give up the fight, my friends. I want to take a moment to talk about how important it is for us to continue with these rallies. In these perilous times, we need community. Indivisible is one of our communities. And it's important for us to have face-to-face contact with each other. We can't just live on Facebook alone. Or some of us can't. Yeah, I've said this many, many times. This is a marathon, not a sprint. And these gatherings help keep our activism alive. So thank you for continuing to show up to these events. Thank you. And having said that, our summer calendar is full. All of the specifics, I'm going to be giving you a bunch of information now, but all of our specifics are on our website. Our website has a beautiful calendar, and we also will be posting on Facebook if you're doing that. And of course, we'll be sending you emails through our calls to action. So if you don't get this all today, there are resources for you. So we'll continue our noon rallies the second Tuesday of every month. We're skipping Tuesday in July because on July 4th, we will be marching together behind the Indivisible banner. Please join us. We're going to be meeting on Liberty Street in Ashland at about 9 a.m. before the parade starts. We'll be selling very new, they're so new we don't even have them yet, ORD2 Indivisible shirts. And we can all wear them together at the parade. Show your enthusiasm for the parade. We are also having, that's a technical glitch that happens with all activists one time or another. Just to make sure you're paying attention. Is everybody paying attention? Thanks, Maury. You got everybody's attention. We're also going to be having a booth at the parade. So come on by when you're strolling towards Olympia Park. We're going to be selling bumper stickers, which we've been selling today, and resist buttons. And we're going to be handing out information for future events. So come on and say hello to us. We are also going to start noon rallies on the 4th Saturday of the month at the gazebo at Alba Park. You asked for it, we're giving it to you. Saturday rallies. So please join us on the fourth Saturday of every month, right here in Medford. And then I'm really excited about this because on Sunday, July 9th, we're having our very, very first ORD2 general meeting. And we're going to be meeting at the Unitarian Church on 4th Street in Ashland at 2 p.m. So we're going to be kind of figuring out together where we're at, where we're going. We're going to be showing you a lot of stuff that we're working on electorally, and it's going to be another nice next step for us in our activism journey. And if that's not enough connecting, we'll meet the third Wednesday of every month for happy hour. Again, check out our website for details, ord2indivisible.org. one final word, Indivisibles. Please keep resisting. Please keep calling your members of Congress. Please keep showing up at ORD2 events. Together, in solidarity, we will succeed. Okay, so we're going to be marching to Senator Wyden and then Senator Merkley's office right now. And we were going to hear from Molly from Senator Wyden's office. She called in sick today. So we'll still march there just because it's on the route. And it looks like we're having a June, maybe turn that around so I can see it too, June 21st from 9:30 to 11 a.m. We're meeting where are we meeting?
At Dasha's house.
At Dasha's house. So see Dasha if you want to join our Indivisible phone party. June 21st from 9:30 to 11. Please see Dasha if you would like to join in the phone party. And just a reminder to please stay on the sidewalks and be mindful of our monitors in orange vests. Thank you again for rallying with us, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Okay. So should we follow this?
Excuse me, please. Yes. Can we announce a 45?